Welcome back to Process Podcast. Today I sit down with Dave Markham, co-founder of the Clubhouse Gym in Hong Kong. They specialize in personal training and small group personal training. This episode is all about the transition from coach to business owner. So if you're someone who's thinking about changing your career, maybe you're thinking about taking a step up from a coach to actually owning your own gym, you need to listen to this episode full of wisdom, full of advice. Enjoy. David, welcome to the Process Podcast, my friend.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, very good. Just been away, been in Ibiza for a few days for a stag do, been in Vietnam for a friend's wedding, and then back into the mix now. Yeah, so good, feeling refreshed.
I was just gonna say, I know I just asked you this, but genuinely, are you feeling refreshed?
Yeah, obviously the stag do was it was a big one. It was 4 days, but then we had a friend of mine's wedding in Vietnam, and it was great. We ended up doing a bit of a wellness retreat ourselves. Put it all together. It was gymming, sauna, eating well. The food over there is unbelievable as well.
Good.
So kind of was a great little segue back in, and then got back on Tuesday night. So it's actually feeling great after it. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm actually trying to think back to how I met you.
We met at the
I'm
Sevens.
going to say, was the Sevens was genuinely the first time?
It was a Sevens. So it was also my first Sevens. So I'd never been to the Hong Kong Sevens before. I arrived in 2019, and it stopped either through the riots and then COVID, and then there was 1 year I didn't go, and then this was my first one at the new stadium, and I kind of had a preconceived idea about what the Sevens was, and I was like, I don't know if it's like my thing anymore because of that, like sort of like rugby, drunken. Like I kind of moved away from that a little bit since I stopped playing. I was like, okay, cool, we'll go, and had the best weekend, and it was so good, and it was like a Hong Kong rugby social kind of thing, and then we bumped into each other there, and we chatted for like 2-3 hours, didn't we? And had like the best chat. It was great. It was really, really good. Yeah.
I think I was at a point in time where I was thinking a lot about my business, and it was like just front of mind with, I mean, it is anyway, but just thinking about transitions and how we can improve things and what's everyone else doing. And I knew that you had started Clubhouse, and I kind of knew Gabe, but still not really. Like, I honestly just bump into him every now and then on a night out. And then I think I saw Gabe first, and I started chatting to him, and just, I don't know where our conversation went.
I think we just wound up facing each other.
Yeah. And then
we were locked in for a couple of hours.
Yeah. I need to speak to this guy, because I know that you'd come to one of our build events in the past. And I'd followed what Clubhouse had been doing online. A new gym pops up in the scene, and just really interested. And I just thought it looked really cool what you guys were doing.
Appreciate it.
And like genuinely thought it looked really great, and was hearing really good things about it as well. And so I think firstly, I try to do this when I'm sober anyway, but this probably happens even more when I'm pissed. I really try and tell people, that I appreciate them, or if they're doing something really good. And I think we ended just, locking horns and talking about life and business for a long time.
Yeah, we did. It was very good conversation.
Well, then you guys were kind enough to allow me to come and check out Clubhouse, and just kind of see the gym and, everything you guys were doing. I was kind of doing a bit of a Hong Kong gym tour at the time. And it was amazing. Like, I still think it's something that like all gym owners need to do a little bit more. Get outside our little bubbles and see what's happening.
So I think a very good friend of mine, Matt Richardson, he runs Honky Tonks, used to be Shady Acres, now Burke's, Terracotta, Mendel's. And I spend a lot of time with him and a lot of time in his venues and whatnot. And I see how the F&B world in Hong Kong interact with each other, and it's so good. And I think people in the fitness space should do that more often. There should be more cross collaboration, more people going and seeing each other. Because I think there's this stigma in Hong Kong with the fitness scene that like people are going to move, people are going to do this and whatnot, but it's not like that at all. And I think the way they run their businesses in terms of the F&B side of things and the way they interact, I think people in the fitness space should do the exact same thing, because everyone's got similar problems and they'll have similar solutions, but it's kind of like they're all restaurants. They all offer something slightly different, but it's kind of like people like certain things, so there's plenty of business to go around.
Yeah, I think that as well. And I think in my early days of running a business, I probably was like those people, right? It was like, keep your cards close to your chest. Everyone's a competitor. Don't let anyone in.
Don't tell anyone what you're doing.
Take everyone down type thing. And I think the way that I look at it now is that, there's 8 million people here in Hong Kong.
Yes.
There's a lot of people to go around for everyone. I think most gyms, are looking to serve between 100 to 300 clients,
Yeah.
and
What's your capacity in the
they're
gym?
making
How many
they've
people
got
do
a
you need?
fantastic business already.
Yeah.
So when you kind of do the maths on that,
Yeah.
like there's plenty for everyone. And like you said, there are so many things that make each gym very uniquely
Yeah.
different. And even if it's not the methodology or the type of services that are being offered, the fact that the people behind each business are all uniquely different anyway, and so much of who where people decide to go is because of people like you, and people just want to be around you more
Yeah.
because they vibe with what you're all about. And maybe it's the same for me, and maybe it's the same for the gym down the road. But yeah, certainly as I've gotten older, I think a lot more about collaboration now, and
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for people like yourself who are just very open to that as well, and
Yeah.
are willing to share. And basically, like, this is everything we do, take from it,
Yeah. I think
what you
it's
think will help.
what we try and base a lot of our content around as well. It's like, just give as much value as possible. It's like, what have you got to lose? You've acquired all this knowledge over a certain period of time, and like, unless no one knows this, that you have this knowledge, it's kind of useless. You're just holding on to it yourself. It's like I said, we've all got similar problems, and it's everyone wins. And any situation where everyone wins, I'm all for. I think it's great.
Yeah, agree. Okay, I realize we haven't introduced you yet. So Dave, who
That's
are
okay.
you and what do you do?
So I'm David Markham. I'm the co-founder and co-owner of the Clubhouse Hong Kong.
Which is?
So we are a personal training studio. We run a small group training department. Our philosophy is built on 3 pillars: rebuild, recharge, reconnect. The rebuild is the physical aspect of training. Recharge, we have sauna and 2 cold plunge barrels, but we talk to a lot about clients about sleep, stress management, nutrition, what happens away from the gym, not just the 3 hours they're in the gym. And the reconnect is a social aspect. So we have a little bar in the gym, where we have coffees, shakes, people take calls, uh, work before and after the sessions. But we're very big on the community side of things. So it's you've got to learn everyone's names when you come in. You've got to say hello. You've got to leave your phone in the locker. There's some of the rules we have up on the wall, and it's a very social space. So our whole thing is physical, mental, social health, and trying to combine all of those, as well as me making people leaner, stronger, and living longer. That's what we're trying to do.
I love it. And I always say that, having been in your space, I think those 3 pillars are very much like you can feel all 3 of them.
Yeah, it's kind of what when we opened the business, it was like the first thing we did was like, what are our core values? Let's get them up on the wall, and let's make sure we're living and breathing them every day. And that was kind of what we based the whole thing on.
I love it. Dave, your story hasn't been, you haven't always been a business owner.
No,
So I would love for you to take us, you can go back as far as you want here, but like, take us through like your story, maybe to like getting to coaching in the first place and how that even transpired.
yeah.
And then getting from there to where you are today.
Okay, cool. So it started out, I played rugby professionally for 9 years. I round it up to 10. 10 sounds better than 9.
Yeah.
But came out of school, went into the academy system in the UK, played a year at Leicester, played a year at Gloucester, and then landed up in Jersey in the Channel Islands. So ended up playing 4 years out there, then moved to France, which was very quick actually, because it's Jersey to St. Malo. It's about an hour, and then I ended up in Rouen in the north of France. And out there, I met a good friend of mine who was actually from Jersey, who told me, Dave, you need to get out to Hong Kong, because he transitioned out there. And I got to about 27, 28, and I was like, I'm not getting any better at rugby. I can't keep doing this forever. So I need to go somewhere, find a career afterwards. And I came out. I'd always, while I was in Rouen and while I was in Jersey, I'd always done strength and conditioning on the side for like the local teams. I used to coach the women's team in Jersey as well as playing. I'd do all the S&C for these guys. So I was kind of like, oh, I'll come out to Hong Kong. Initially, I wanted to become a rugby coach when I first come out here, and I had the S&C background, and like obviously I'd been paid to be in a gym for 10 years. So there's a lot of experience in there. Initially wanted to become a rugby coach, but then I saw how it was becoming like football, and it was kind of like people were changing. There wasn't much longevity in it. And I fell into a role. Gabs, who's the co-founder of the Clubhouse, we set up a Skype call, and he interviewed me with James Campignon, who's hip PT. So I got on a Skype call with these guys and basically interviewed, and they needed a position in the group training department. So I ended up landing this position, came over to Hong Kong with my fiance Katie.
Did you come over to play rugby? Was rugby a part of transition?
Yes, it was. So I came over with Kowloon. I
Yeah.
used the rugby to come across, and I was like, I'll play a few more years and transition out, find out what I kind of want to do. Started working at the previous company, which was my old gym. And then I kind of like I fell in love more with the health and fitness side of things. And it was a bit of a weird transition because it was like I'd gone from being an athlete to then working with general population. So it's kind of like there's a few nuances and a few things I had to get my head around. But I was like, wow, there's actually a lot of longevity in this. So I kind of canned the rugby coach route and was just like, let's start doing this. And then what started off was a small group training department in the old space. We ended up growing it so much that the guys who owned that previous business decided to open up a second gym. We opened up a group training facility in Central. We had our personal training facility in Central. We kind of grew those businesses over the past 5 years. The leases were up on those premises, and we spoke to the owners of the previous business and said, like, look, this is what we want to do. And they were like, okay, cool. Just hang on to the end of the leases, and then you guys can kind of do what you want to do. And it got to a point where we want to do our own thing, and we had an idea of what we wanted to do, and it was probably like a 12-month process of then having this idea, growing it to where we actually ended up opening the clubhouse. So it was very interesting, a great time actually. But yeah.
Okay, so I'm very interested in that year. In fact, before we talk about that year of like
Mhm,
coming up with the concept of Clubhouse,
mhm.
when you find out that your previous gym is going to be closing, why not just go and work for another gym? Like, why go down this route of starting your own thing, taking on all the risk and going into the unknown? Like, why didn't you just go apply for a job at another gym?
Because I wanted to do it my way, and I kind of the thing, if you go onto our website, is it's build the life you want, don't settle for the life you have. And I would kind of my thought process behind that was I've seen, and it was so funny because I come from a rugby background where, you know, you'd go into a gym, there'd be a lot of atmosphere, there'd be a lot of whatever. And I'd been into certain gyms in Hong Kong and I was like, this is like, it is flat, it is miserable. I'm like, how are people not getting the basics right of
Mm,
like teamwork, interaction, like the social aspect of it was missing massively. And I was like, we can really do something here in this space. Um, so it was partly because of that and like my sports background. And I kind of took some of the values from sport and was like, look, how can we put this into a fitness facility that's because I've been into a few different personal training studios and I was like, some of this is miserable. I
mm,
was like, how do you enjoy coming in here as an employee? And like as a client, how are you like, this is bleak. So we had to try to create an environment where I was like, okay. And ultimately I was like, what do I love doing? It's like I love coaching people, I love working with people, I love working in a team, I love being in that kind of high energy environment. So I was like, can we not just build this ourselves and create a business out of it where we get to do all these things on a daily basis, help people, but also it doesn't feel like work. And we had had some team reviews recently, and like the glowing feedback was it doesn't feel like coming to work. So
yeah.
I was like, great. This is like it was very rewarding for me actually to do those, and then have a lot of our staff say, yeah, it doesn't feel like work when we come in here. And I was like, awesome. This is kind of what we set out to do.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
sign of a really great culture, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well
Yeah.
done. Okay, so right, so you're operating out of this fear, not this fear, but this feeling of I guess there's a pain, right? You're unsatisfied with what you currently have. You
Hmm.
want to create something that's your own. And
Yeah.
you said it was like a 12-month process. Was
Yes.
that just the practicalities of that? Are you not working now for 12 months, or is like as your time in your previous gym is now
Yeah.
coming to its end, you're already starting to conceptualize the
Yeah.
next idea?
We had the idea from a wee while out, and obviously we're still continuing what we are doing, but just in the background, chipping away at all the little processes, all the little details, setting up the company, finding the investment we needed, getting the brand right, like all those kind of things. So we were slowly chipping away at that as we went. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, now what are the primary driving factors behind like deciding on what the model was? Like you've landed on basically you're a personal training gym that you do some small group, you have a small group
Hmm.
training department. Of all the different gym models out there,
Hmm.
and also given the fact that your previous gym you were doing large group training,
Yes.
why the transition, why the change up?
So I read, so in this period, I tried to read as much as possible. So there's a few key books for me. There was one I gave to you actually, Gym Launch,
Yeah,
Alex Hall Mosey.
so good.
Oh, unbelievable book. And this is a guy, I remember reading that book and they were talking about like a certain group training model about like either small group training or large, basically what you guys do
Yeah,
here. And they were like, if you sit in the middle of this, you are in no man's land.
Yeah.
You are dead. You will not hit your revenue before you cap out on volume. And I was reading this thinking, this is exactly what we're currently running at the old space. I was like, everything he's saying not to do in here, we are doing currently. So I was like, okay, we need to change things up and we need to move to a slightly smaller model. We need to change our price point slightly. We need to change our billing cycles. We need to do all these little tips and whatnot, which was we'd inherited with the old gym because we never created it. So the identity was never ours at the start.
Yeah.
But when we opened up a clubhouse, we're very clear on our identity and what we want to do from the outset, and that was a big thing for me. Yeah.
Let's just quickly talk about that, because I've now read the book, because you were kind enough to
Yep.
lend it to me after me hanging out with you guys at Clubhouse. Let's quickly talk about like what some of the key things that are highlighted in that book, which are like common mistakes that a lot of gym owners make that lead to ultimately having non-profitable gyms.
I think some of the things for me were being afraid to put your prices up.
Yeah, 100%.
Because everyone's freaking out. Everyone's like, in your head, you're like, oh my God, are these guys gonna, like, are people gonna respond well to this? How are they gonna respond? That was a big one.
And he refers to it like the whole gym industry is this concept of like racing to the bottom.
Yes.
Right? Which is basically like, I'm going to undercut my next door
Terrible.
neighbor by $2.
Terrible.
And then the next person does it. And basically the prices just get all driven down and everyone's just offering the same thing. And it's just
terrible.
Yeah.
It's set your price at what you believe your service is worth. And if you deliver a good enough service, the value is there.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things for me was the value equation he talks about.
Oh my God, that literally changed. It was a game changer for me.
So I think for like, especially for what we do, it's like the perceived likelihood of outcome times by, what's on the other top of it?
So you got perceived outcome,
dream outcome, perceived likelihood of it's going to happen,
success,
effort and sacrifice underneath,
time delay,
sacrifice.
Yeah.
So I think about this. My fiance Katie, she's a personal stylist. So for her, she can take you, Ed, she can take you shopping at the weekend, and she can go and get you some outfits. You pay this amount of money, she will take you here. You will look good Saturday. Bang,
24
you're
hours.
in.
Yeah.
For personal training, it's a little bit more difficult because it's like, okay, you have to change these habits. You have to change your lifestyle a little bit. There's at least an 8 to 10 to ongoing time delay. You're gonna have to put in some effort. You're gonna have to put in some sacrifice. So
and there's no guarantee.
So the value equation on personal training actually isn't great at all. So it's trying to create value in your offer, which was a big one. Some things around the billing cycles. So we used to run at our old gym a monthly billing cycle. We now run a 4-week billing cycle. Just because
13 billing cycles.
13 billing cycles over 12.
Yeah.
It's just either the business loses out or the client has to pay. And it's kind of like, if we don't have a business, we don't have clients anyway. So it's like one of those things the business has to be prioritized there. We changed to that. Bit of a kick, but a couple of weeks later, it's all forgotten about anyway. And I think the biggest thing was like, when my understanding of, you will not please everybody.
Yeah.
You will not. And it's kind of like, just go with the decisions. You have to put the business first in some of these situations.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably some of the billing cycle stuff, the actual model you run in terms of your price point, size of classes, size of sessions, whatever that may be, and not being afraid to put your prices up. But if you have open and honest conversations with your clientele,
get around most of the issues.
Yeah.
I was going to say another thing around not, being afraid of, well, understand that you're never going to please everyone. I think another thing for us has been just getting clarity on actually who we want to serve. And I think in the early days of business, really like trying to serve everyone, and that was the problem.
Yeah.
And so when you're trying to serve everyone, you're going to make changes, and there's always, why do some people accept those changes and get on with it, and why do you always have some others like rebutting and kicking up a fuss? And I think at the end of the day, for us, and we're still going through this process always, refining like really who do we want to serve, and like what are all the traits and characteristics of that person, and then just building our business around serving that person, and knowing that the people who probably don't want to come along for the ride, when you actually look at that perfect avatar, you're like, well, it makes sense they're not coming along.
Are these people going to be your brand ambassadors or not?
Yeah.
So we had a lady come in for a consult the other week. One of our other coaches took the consult. She trained at a previous gym somewhere else. She'd come in. We're a slightly different price point. And the back and forth and the friction. And the guy who took the consult was like, oh, we didn't make the sale, we did this. He was kind of like, I was like, was she going to be a brand ambassador for us? Was she going to come in and take all of our values, live them every day, speak highly about us? No, probably wasn't. So at the end of the day, okay, do we want to serve someone like that? Okay, can we go and try and find the people who are brand ambassadors?
Yeah.
So kind of like not turning away customers, but like it's got to a point I was like, guys, do not stress about this as much as we are currently, because it's like we want to find those ICPs, those avatars that are going to be those people.
Yeah.
And they're out there. We only need X amount of them. They're not like,
Yeah, and ultimately the people you want who step into your business, whether it's to get their, try to do their trial week or their assessment, like you ultimately want to get the right people there in the first place.
Of course, yeah.
Team, I want to quickly interrupt this episode to give a little shout out to our sponsors today, Well Spent. This little journal has made such a massive, profound impact on my life since I started using it. When I started using it, I actually didn't know that it was backed by neuroscience, but now it totally makes sense. This has brought a ton of gratitude to my life. It keeps me on track and focused on the things I need to do day to day, and brings a lot of context as to how each day fits within the greater week and the greater month. So if you, like me, really care about trying to be a high performer and want to do everything you can to make that happen, I cannot recommend this journal enough. Use our discount code, THEPROCESS, to grab yours today as much as possible, right? So, okay, you talked about Gym Launch. Well, that was a massive book that helped you.
Yes.
What were there anything else that like comes to mind during that time where you're trying to figure out what your gym's going to look like?
There's another book I think I spoke to you about as well, Unreasonable Hospitality.
Yeah, I bought it for my whole operations team.
Yep.
After
So
you recommend it.
all of our operations team have read it as well. That was a very big like light bulb moment for me, because again, I go back to my friend Matt who runs it's a service hospitality business. It's how you make people feel. Do people feel valued? Do people feel like they're getting looked after? And if people feel a certain way, they will forget what you said to them. They'll forget everything else, but they'll just remember how you made them feel. So if you can make people feel in a certain way, and people feel good, feel valued, they'll be repeat customers for life. And that's why I'm really, really big on relationships, because I believe life is just relationships. And without relationships, you don't really have much else outside of that. If you boil it all down, think, where are my good relationships? That's all life is, really.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Any others?
There was a book called Traction by Gino Wickman, which was more about business principles. Very, very useful in terms of, he runs this thing called a scorecard, and it's basically your traction and your vision. So your vision is way up top. This is like your North Star and where you want to get to. You have to have your vision set in place, but it's like training a client, really. It's like, okay, you have your North Star set, okay, but then you boil it back down to what are the daily tasks to get you there? Are you eating nutrient dense whole foods? Are you getting X amount of steps per day? Are you being active? Like these kind of things. How much are you sleeping? And the vision is up at the top, and the traction is the things down at the bottom that are getting the churn, that are getting the traction to get you towards a vision. So that book was very useful for me in terms of like setting up the values, setting up our philosophies, setting up our year 1, year 3, and year 5 goals. And we had a 10-year goal before we'd even opened up the business, because we were like, right, we need to have these things set in place now, so we have something to work towards. So that was a great book for me. The other Hormozy books, awesome as well.
Yeah. $100 million leads and offers.
Leads, offers, great. The offers one's great. The leads one, he's got a new one coming out August 16th.
All over my Instagram advertising.
He's good. He's very good.
He's got me.
He's like, if you break down his business model, it's like fantastic. He's basically, he's coaching businesses how to improve, become valuable, more revenue, everything, and then he acquires them himself. It's genius. It's like a feeder system.
What's amazing is that, again, going back to like the avatar, he's very specific about who you'll work with. You need to be earning, your business needs to be valued at, so he's not wasting his time with small businesses. He's like, if you're already really, really rich, but you want to get insanely rich, then I'll help you do that. It's so cool. Yeah, he's been monumental for me.
So there was the reading the books, but honestly, the best thing I did was go and speak to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So I went and spoke to the guy who runs our insurance. So I went and had a sit down with him, and I was talking to him. He's run his own business for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Had a really good chat with him. He was like, think about this, think about this, think about this. Went and spoke to as many people as possible. And I probably had 20, 30 sit down conversations and picked up just little bits from everybody, compiled them all, and was like, okay, these are people who are far more experienced than me, have done this before. Like, what can I learn from these guys who've been in the hot seat before? So speaking to people and telling people my ideas was the biggest one. Because obviously some people might think, oh, I'll keep this idea a secret. Like, I don't want anyone else to know what we're doing. Go and tell as many people what you want to do. It will open doors later on, because if you have a good relationship with someone, they'll likely want to help you out. And if they don't know about it, they can't help you out. So the books was one thing, but then speaking to all these people was the biggest one as well, because it might not work out, but they may, like, something happens to them in the future, be like, I know Dave's trying to do this. Why don't you go and speak to him about this? Get an introduction somewhere else. So it's the real connections as well. Hence what we've built the gym on, the reconnect aspect, like being open, being honest, and just having good relationships with people.
Yeah, love it. You mentioned North Star, like, which I guess is this overarching goal and this thing that's guiding you to where you want to ultimately get to. How important is that for business owners, do you think? And would you be open to sharing what your North Star was at that point in time when you were thinking about starting your own business?
We had 3 facilities across Asia. Our current managers become future managers in those facilities.
Nice.
That was basically what our 10-year goal was. And it's very clear. It was 3 facilities. It gives me something to work towards, and it gives the guys who are currently underneath us and growing somewhere to work towards as well going forward. So having that set was very important, but obviously then just work back, and it's like, okay, what's the 1 year goal? What's this goal? What's this goal? And just work back. And it's like, you park it, you leave it, and you focus on the next day, the next week, the next month, that kind of thing.
Love it. Okay. So to recap, in this, you basically spend a year speaking to lots of other people who are walking similar, in similar shoes to where you want to get
all
to.
Different industries
all
as
different
well.
industries.
Not that many people who worked in gyms, to be honest. It was all different industries, F&B, insurance. I've got it all on my laptop.
A whole list of notes.
All sorts, and so good. Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. And then you land on basically what Clubhouse is now. Right, which is a collection of what you've experienced probably in past gyms, your sporting background, but then also like business nous, I guess, like in knowing how to make something successful and profitable.
Yeah, because with our previous gym we were at, like, we'd understood over running that for 5 years what worked, what didn't work, like how to do certain things, how to affect change, how to talk to people, like how to build a community, like what people like, what people don't like. So yeah.
What about like fears and limiting beliefs? Like, what were you?
So Katie, my fiance, always references this. 2 days before we signed the lease, I'd almost pretty much talk myself out of it. And I'd got into this kind of like negative spiral where we kind of had a lot of stuff ready to go. There was basically some funds we needed, and we'd basically had a lot of it squared away for a long time, and through something had happened and an investor basically pulled out, and we were like, shit. Like, oh shit, here we go. And then we had to get some funds from somewhere else, and I was like, should we do? And it started creeping back in, and I started in this negative spiral a little bit.
So you start questioning yourself, like,
everything. Everything. I was like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about the ongoing cost? And then we managed to pull it all together, and then it was a funny sort of timeline, because it was like, we knew the old places were closing and we wanted a smooth transition into the new place, but we kind of had...
Because you wanted just clients to come over with you, and ultimately you needed a paycheck as well.
Of course, yeah. So it was, there was a lot of things in the balance, and trying to time all these things up between signing a lease, getting the project manager, getting the design right, knowing we had enough time for the fit out, because the clubhouse was an office beforehand. So we ended up taking on the demolition ourselves because of the timelines, because we spoke to the landlords, we were like, we need it by this date, and they're like, sure. The deconstruction of the old place, they were like, oh, that's not going to happen for another 4 weeks. And I was like, we don't have 4 weeks. So we had to take on the demolition ourselves, and that was another added cost. And then it was, there's a lot of things. There was a lot of things in the balance, And I was like, we need to have X, Y, and Z in place before I sign this lease. I'm not signing this lease and then something falling through. So there's a lot of
Can I ask, Dave,
yeah,
like, because I think, wanting to get it perfect is what stops a lot of people from just
yes.
doing the thing in the first place.
And one thing that again, my friend Matt said to me, he was like, the vision in your head and the perfection in your head that you envision for this business, for whatever, no one else knows that.
Yeah.
No one else knows what you think it's supposed to look like. And if something's not quite right, something's not quite right here, no one else knows that. That's just you in your head. So he helped me a lot with that, and he was like, look, you need to not stress about this stuff. You can do it. Like, and he put a lot of confidence in me actually, because he was like, "Mate, I've done this 5, 6." Oh, he'd done loads in the past actually, but with this current group, he's got 5, 6 restaurants. He's done 20 across his career, kind of thing. And he's like, "Don't stress about this. No one else knows this stuff apart from you. So like, don't worry about it." Yeah.
So you said there, like, there was X, Y, and Z that had to be in place before you basically pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
In your opinion, on your experience, what are like the mandatory, the non-negotiable things that you need to have in place before pulling the trigger on, let's say, in this case, we're talking about starting your own gym, but I guess there's like parallels to just starting your own business, especially thinking about people like you. You've gone from working for the man to now becoming the man, right? You've quit the job working for someone and you're now the boss. And I think a lot of people like have this dream that they're gonna quit the place they currently at because they're not happy. They're in the industry that they know they don't belong in, and they have an idea of the industry and the job they want to do, but they just don't know how to execute and actually the practical side of getting out of where they're at to get to where they want to be.
Yeah.
So like what were that X, Y, and Z for you?
For me, it was a lot around knowing the numbers and the finances.
Yeah, so important.
So I knew we needed to raise X amount of cash in order to get the thing off the ground. And the funny thing with starting the gym is you have you've got your cash pile of whatever it is, and it's going down very rapidly to the deposits. The deposits is like crazy in Hong Kong as well. So I think your rent ain't cheap here either. So it's like you got 3 months deposit. That's that money gone. You never see that again unless your business, whatever happens, it's effectively just cash gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a big chunk gone. Then you've got your fit out, you construct, all that kind of thing, and it's like, okay, we've put a lot of this cash in already, and we don't even have anything yet.
Nothing to show for it.
And I'm like, shit, here we go. And it's like, so you talk to the project manager, okay, about like the MVAC, about like the plumbing and all this stuff, like what could potentially go wrong. And it's like, okay, we needed like a contingency plan. So I was like, we had this amount for the fit out, this amount for this amount for the equipment. And it was like, someone said to me in one of the conversations I had, they were like, always have a 20% buffer on your fit out cost, no matter what. And within 3-4 weeks of starting the fit out, my 20% buffer was down to about 5. And I was like, shit, here we go. So, but I wouldn't have known that unless I'd had all of these conversations beforehand. So I had like a little bit of cash ready, or like a secret stash of cash that I was like, we're not touching this. This is imaginary money that we know we have, but we don't want to touch. Like I said, within 3-4 weeks, I was like, wow, we're pretty close to this. But then it got to a point during the fit out where I was like, everything that's gone wrong could have potentially gone wrong, has gone wrong. And it was just things behind the scenes, like minor stuff, but it cost money. It all cost money. But then it got to a point where I was like, okay, cool. I think we're going to be okay here. I think we're going to be okay. And then we managed to get the facility open, and then we could start collecting cash as well. So there was this kind of inflection point of like, obviously the stress was through the roof for the entire time, but it got to this like point where we're like, okay, I think we're good here. I think we're good. And then we could open. I was like, oh my God, we're open. And we're still paying off stuff from like the fit out and things like that. But then the cash flow side of things, it was become a lot healthier, obviously, once we got open. And then my stress was still through the roof for the first 6 months. Like for the first 6 months, I was there.
What were the biggest contributors to that stress?
My own perfection in my head. And me being like, I need to be there all the time to make sure everything's okay. And it was more, I was in there at 5:30, leaving at 8 o'clock, Monday to Friday, was in there Saturdays, would go in Sundays to do some admin and stuff. And until the place was operating, because it's a brand new, we basically built it and opened it in the same, it completed 3-4 days later, we opened. So I was like, shit, here we go. And like, how it ran operationally, just like getting used to the space, getting used to the flow, getting used to the change room. We had a nightmare with the changing rooms for a bit. There was a leak down in the floor below. There's a spin studio on the fifth floor called Absolute Fitness, run by a lady called Grace, who's incredible. She let our clients shower down in the showers for 4 weeks while they were messing around with all the showers and stuff. So there's all these like hiccups and things that went on, and it was like, and again, it was my perfection in my head, and I always just thought back to my friend Matt. He's like, no one else knows what this is. It's like, don't put so much pressure on yourself. But obviously, I'm sure you're the same. Like, I wanted it to be like this. I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted it to look a certain way, run a certain way. So it was a lot of that. And just me wanting to get the place to a place where it was operational for the first 6 months. And then after that 6 month period, the stress is kind of, the day-to-day stress isn't there anymore because we've got a great team in place. We've got great people in place. And like me going away last week was the first time I got to fully switch off and be like, I know the guys are looking after this. And it was so nice and rewarding to come back to that. And I walked back in the gym on Wednesday morning or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, this is like all these people doing their jobs, and like there's clients in there, there's staff members in there. It's all working. I was like, that was quite a rewarding moment as well.
Yeah, I feel like the first holiday you actually take,
Yeah.
and you realize you come back and everything's actually okay,
Yeah.
is like a monumental leap in mindset as a business owner.
Yeah.
Because I mean, especially for me, like you start really trusting your team and
Yeah.
start thinking I can do this more, or what else am I still holding on to that I don't need to be holding on to?
There was another book we talk about this, the 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah,
It's one of the original ones I read ages ago, and
that's Tim Ferriss, right?
yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, he started with 4 Hour Body, then he went to 4 Hour Work Week.
And a lot of this stuff only because I'd read all these books and I was like, okay, cool. How am I gonna actually apply all this stuff just yet? And it's only in the past like 3 or 4 months that kind of all of this is fit together.
You almost got to reread it now
because because the stress of the first 6 months has now dropped, and I'm kind of like, okay, this is actually working. This is actually going all right. This is like, it's good. It's like people don't think they're coming to work. People are happy. Obviously, you have little bits and bobs, but the last year, all that reading, it all kind of just fell into place. But it's kind of one of our core values is like the CPD aspect of continuous improvement. But it's like, if I hadn't have done all that stuff, and I didn't have any initial like any wins from those. It was more just gathering knowledge, and I didn't have any payback from them initially. But then the past 3 or 4 months, it's all kind of just fit into place now that like that initial stress level has dropped, and I can think a lot clearer as well. But having done all the work previously, it's helped so much.
Yeah, it's like delayed gratification.
That's that's the phrase I was looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ed.
You're very welcome. So I think you're talking a lot about like some of the challenges that you're now experiencing as a business owner.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges that you're now experiencing as a business owner that you didn't potentially foresee before you stepped into this role?
I think the main one is the people side of things, and understanding certain people want certain things, certain people are motivated by certain things, and obviously knowing your team, you obviously got to know your team, but people will be driven by different things. So it's one, giving them a vision that they can foresee going forward. It's mainly around that, to be honest, because we
hardest part of running a business, I think.
Yeah, and we deal with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of staff, and then also the client side of things. We've got across everyone, we've got over like 250 members across everything.
Yeah.
And people are away, people are traveling. It's a lot of people to try and have a really good relationship, to try and keep them engaged. So it's more the people side of things, but I think we do that fairly well, to be honest.
So let's talk about team then, like managing relationships in your team, and like how are you cultivate? Like you'd said that you've gotten to a point where your team genuinely feels like it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
And I would say that our team feels
it's great.
the same.
Well done.
So what have you done? What do you think you've done to enable them to say that?
I think having the core values on the wall is a big one.
And then hiring based on those values.
Yes, you can be a terrible coach, but unless we can make you a better coach.
Yeah.
But unless you're doing those core values every single day, you will not fit in at the clubhouse. Yeah. And we ended up, there's a couple of guys who, when we opened up, we brought a couple of guys, and they just weren't the right fit for the business because they weren't doing these things on a daily basis. So I think the core values is a big one. We did a team trip to Bangkok to do high rocks together.
That's recently, right?
That was
Recently-ish.
whenever the banquet. It was
Yeah,
3-4 months ago, and it was our first company.
Did you shut down the gym that weekend?
Yeah.
Nice.
So we closed the gym. We were like, guys, we're all going to Bangkok. It was basically like the company will sort everything, but you've just got to do high rocks.
Yeah.
That was the only prerequisite for the staff. And we had the best weekend. We had such a good weekend. We went to this Muay Thai stadium on the Friday night. Saw this like incredible like event, and it was like I didn't know what to expect going in. I've not been in Asia loads and done loads of travel, and I was expecting some kind of warehouse kind of thing and whatnot. We went in, it was a full production, full setup. This guy shooting t-shirts into the crowd, like all sorts of like, oh god, this is good. And I asked Gabs, I was like, how much should we pay for these tickets? and he told me, I was like, oh, okay, fair. We did the high rocks on Saturday, had a good night out. Sunday we went and did some go-karting as a team, and then we went to a Japanese onsen afterwards.
Amazing.
Which was so I've been to a couple of like Winston's and things like that over here. And obviously you go in and there's like jacuzzi, saunas, that kind of thing, and like we've been after rugby and whatnot, and you have the big towels on and that. We went in there and the lady was like, no, just the flannel. Just the flannel.
Yeah.
So you got this little flannel, and I'm like, oh right, this is really, and it was basically like the recharge aspect of what we do at the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And it was like all these hot baths, all these like cold plunges, saunas, and it was full disconnect from everything. There was no screens in there. There was no phones in there. You couldn't drink in there. There was no water or anything. So like that trip and that weekend kind of like it had everything that the clubhouse was built on: the rebuild, the recharge, the reconnect. It was social, it was physical, and it had the mental side of things as well. So doing that was great. We've got another trip for November planned. We're going to go to Phuket, do like a training weekend with the team down there, do some sauna, cold plunge, train, all that kind of yoga, all that stuff. So we've got these things in place. And then we were talking about it just off air that we've recently started working with a business coach. And we've been going 2 months, and it's been the biggest help so far. And I said to the guys, we're not running a gym anymore. We're running a company here. So it's like that change in mindset, I think. And when you're open and honest with the team as well, is the biggest thing. It's like, okay, guys, this is not like a group of people running a gym. We are now running a company. We're a service and hospitality business. So that was a big mindset shift. And it's like, it's like sports. You want the right people in the right seats doing the right jobs that they're stronger. It's like you have certain people who are good at this. Okay, you're going to play this position. You're going to do this. So having we're finalizing it now, but like a proper company organizational chart.
Nice.
And that was something that like we'd never done at the previous place or whatever and whatnot. But there was like started working with our business coach, and she was like, "No, get this in place now." And we're going through that process right now, and it's been so helpful. Just you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this, and it's like everyone's very clear on what they're doing. So that was a big one as well.
What are your thoughts towards becoming friends with the people that work for you?
Well, it's a tricky one because we already were really good friends with them beforehand, because we already had previous relationships. I've actually actively tried to stop socializing as much with some of the staff because I'm like, I need that disconnect. And I remember
that's on a personal level.
On a personal level. Because we still do these team activities. We go out for dinners, we do these things. But when we came across, some of the guys were like, they were talking about HR. So some of the guys were like, you should think about HR. And I was like, guys, you don't know what HR is. Some of the trainers and that, they were like, oh, we need HR because we've had these issues, we've had this issue, whatnot. And I was like, guys, you don't know what HR is. I think if we had proper HR, we'd all be in a bit of trouble here from the old place. So trying to have, and what I say to some of the staff now is like, what would HR say? They have an issue, they're doing something that they might, I was like, what would HR say about this? And I've had to become HR.
Yeah.
So me being HR was like, okay, I don't mind having tough and difficult conversations. Actually, one of our managers, Sean, he introduced this concept of mining. So he was like, you need to go and mine for issues. As the 5 dysfunctions of a team. There's a book he read which was very, very useful. Did a presentation to a team on it. It's like trying to have these difficult conversations is a good thing. He's like, don't shy away from them, mine for them and look for them, and it'll make your business grow. So that was also a big one for us. Yeah.
So you just said like this idea of like you've basically become HR now.
Yes.
So this idea of, okay, I think what I'm trying to get at here is that when you're a coach, your job responsibilities are pretty clear.
Yes.
You just got to coach,
Yeah.
basically, in whatever form that looks like based on where you're working.
Yeah.
When you transition into a business owner, especially as a small business owner, you
Yes.
start wearing like multiple hats.
Yes.
How's that been for you? Were you excited about doing that? Was that something that you foresaw that you were going to start doing, or was that something that kind of caught you off guard?
No, I love it.
Yeah.
I love knowing everything about everything. I love knowing all the numbers. I love having all the details. But then I got to a point, we've actually just hired a new operations manager.
Nice.
And this is some advice you gave me, actually, was hiring in-house accountant, because we were kind of outsourcing it. And recently we've took on a lady called Samantha, who's worked in hospitality, ran some P&L, done some bookkeeping. So it was the exact profile we needed. And it comes back to the 4-hour work week that I read 18 months ago. And it's now like, okay, get the right people in the right positions, doing the right job, so you can concentrate on other things. So, yeah.
So you actually love it though.
Oh, I love knowing everything, because I'm like, if you know how to do something, it goes back to Hormozy. He talks about Facebook advertising, and he talks about how he used to outsource all these Facebook and these companies and whatnot. He's like, you speak to someone, they pass you off to someone else, and it's just someone else running this. And it's like, okay, how difficult is it for me to learn this process? And if this person can do it, like, surely I can learn to do it.
I think what he said, he paid the guy who he was paying to do his ads and said, I'll pay you to teach me how you do your job.
Yeah.
And he ended up basically just doing
of course. So it's like,
school.
If you know all the bits of the business, and then later on you can have people doing them, and then it's like, well, I've done this, so I know what it takes to do this. So like, and for what we're doing as a company, it's like, there's not loads and loads and loads of things. There's X amount of things that are like, okay, I know how to do these things. I've done them, and then now we can have someone dedicated to doing them. So yeah, but I love knowing all the numbers, everything.
Yeah, I'm in a very similar boat, but I think that I've transitioned a lot, like over the last 15 years of running this business.
15 years. Listen to that.
16 years, actually.
Very impressive, Ed.
Thank you.
Very, very impressive.
But when I started, it was like, right, well, I'm the coach. Like, that's what I've always done. That's what I do best. I'm just going to focus on the coaching stuff. And kind of was blindly hiring people just to do like, well, I don't have a clue about money. So you just like, do you know anything about money? They'd be like, yeah, I kind of know a bit about money. Like, yeah, you got the money job, mate. And then, I basically did that with various aspects of the business. And it can work fine, but then like when it comes crunch time, or problems start arising, and those people then start to look to you to say, what are we going to do, or what are the answers, and you have no idea about the various aspects. I'm talking about no idea of the various aspects of the business, because you put all your your chips in one basket with these different your eggs in one basket, sorry. So I've realized slowly, just through trial and error of basically not knowing, I realized how important it was to know. And I think now it's just sparked this a very deep interest in wanting to understand every aspect of the business. So right now it's really all about like the sales process. And like I'm not very knowledgeable in the sales process. I've never had formal training on sales. A lot of the marketing stuff we've done has been kind of self-taught and through YouTube videos. And I've realized for a long time that I think it's a skill gap that I have. And it's also, not surprisingly, a skill gap that our company has. So basically, closing sales, having a system in place.
And I think sales, everything in life is sales.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's relationships.
Yeah.
And I think this is a big thing in the fitness industry, where people are scared to. We do consults with people weekly, daily, that kind of thing. And I think previously I'd gone to a couple of gyms in. We got offered a PT trial somewhere. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to take this offer up and just see what happens. We went into a gym in Central. We did it. Me and my fiance Katie did a session with this guy, and then his sales process afterwards, I was like, this was terrible. I was like, this was so bad. You could have done this afterwards. You could have positioned yourself.
Did you tell him this?
I didn't actually in the end, but I kind of was like, because I analyze everything. I walk in here, I walked in the front door, I'm thinking, how much you paying for rent? How much you doing this? How many trainers you got? Whatever. I'm doing the numbers in my head. So I do try and analyze everything. But I think, especially in the fitness space, because we are coaches who have transitioned into something else, it's people get scared about this sales aspect and actually asking for people. Like, you've got a consult coming into your gym. They clearly have interest in what you're doing. And it's just, a previous boss of mine, actually, he was at the previous company, taught me a lot about sales and relationships, and was actually very, very useful. But it's like, it's knowing when to pull, knowing when to push. And it's like, understanding what people want and their like how they respond to certain things. So sometimes in a sales consult, I know I've spoke to this person, I've explained whatever, I've tried to give as much value as possible, and it gets to the point where you got to ask that difficult question. Okay, like, do you want to commit? And it's
Yeah.
like people get really twitchy about this, but
Yeah.
then
Bit weird about it.
yeah, but why?
Yeah.
Because
Why?
they've come they know your services. You've explained it. If you've done a good job, you
Mm.
should have led them to the point where they're ready to say yes in that consult. So I think the sales aspect is a big thing, but I think something that a lot of people in fitness probably lack, and it's probably like letting either their company or themselves down, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think for me, now it's wanting to no I want to, just for my own morbid interests, I want to have deep interest and knowledge
Yeah,
in every aspect of my business,
yeah.
but also accepting that I'm not saying that I'm going to be the strongest person in any of those roles,
Oh no.
but I want, eventually you hire for those positions.
Yeah,
Like you said, you want people who are great at certain positions and love doing those things.
yeah,
That's the ultimate goal for us as a company. It's like every position is taken by someone who's really good at it and
yeah.
they really enjoy doing it.
Myself
um
and Gabs have literally had this conversation today with like the organizational chart. Let's get this people instead of like trying to let's get people what they're really good at and let them run with it, let them
yeah,
excel with it. Yeah.
yeah, I love it. uh being a great coach versus being a great business owner, like differences in terms of, I'm thinking less about, I guess the question is more about what does it take to be a great business owner?
I don't know yet. Maybe I should ask you, Ed. You're a pretty good business owner, I think.
Well, let's brainstorm it together. Like
Okay, cool.
if we were to create a short list of like key traits that you think one must have, because I think the reason I think this is an important question is because I think a lot of people, especially in coaching, see this as like this natural progression. You work for someone else, you become a head coach, and then you go and open your own gym.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people see this as like this normal journey that a coach should go on. I think a lot of people also put pressure on themselves
Yeah.
to have to go through that journey. I certainly used to say it to my coaches, like 10 years ago. They would start as a junior coach. This is what your journey's going to look like. You're going
Hmm.
to start coaching class. Then you're going to start taking PTs. Then you're going to be doing remote clients.
Hmm.
Then you'll become a manager. And then one day you're going to own a gym like
Yeah.
me. And then I would see sometimes their eyes would light up and be like, fuck, that's awesome. That's what
Yeah.
I want. Most of the time, be like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that did not interest me at all.
Yeah.
And that just because that was my lens and what I thought my career would look like. So I think firstly, I'll kick this off by saying that not everyone is designed or destined to be a business owner.
Not at all, no.
No. So let's break that down. Like, why? What are the things that people need to possess that you think to become a business owner?
That is a great question, Ed. Um,
I'm throwing one out there. I haven't really thought about this question, by the way, so I don't have this. I
that's
don't
all
have
good.
a definitive list, but like, you've got to be resilient.
Yeah.
And like you've got to be like you've got to be able to. I think the word I'm thinking about is just grit, right? So when shit gets a little bit
Yeah.
hard, if you're someone who just crumbles and quits, then
Yeah.
that's just
One thing that we have on our core values on the wall is we dictate the energy. So it's got to start at the top. So it's like unless I'm showing all these all these values on a daily basis, I cannot expect the team to do them. So for me,
yeah,
it's like it all starts with me and Gabs. So if me and Gabs have to be coming around saying our hellos in the morning, doing this, leading by example, and it all trickles down from there. You
yeah,
can't expect someone else to have these standards if you can't have them yourself, kind of thing. And I think that does come from like the sports background.
yeah,
So like, and we typically try and hire people who've come from a team background. It's
yeah,
kind of one of our screening questions. It's like, have you played team sports?
mm,
Because we know you're going to work well in a group environment, kind
yeah,
of thing. And it's funny when you talk about like the coach aspect, because it's like I know a lot of guys, a lot of our clientele work in like finance, they're traders, and it's like if you're a trader, you don't go up a level, you just become a better trainer,
yeah,
earn more money, and you continue it. Like it's like rugby. It's like you don't. There's not another level to go up. You just get better at your craft, kind of thing. So it's and something our business coach said to me the other day. She's like, 50% of people are happy to kind of just be in and kind of go on the coattails and stay in their own lane. 50 people are like, I want to lead, I want to do this, I
yeah,
want to do that, kind of thing. So it's just finding the people in the right buckets, really.
yeah. Would you so she said it's a 50-50 split?
She reckons it's a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think it's more I think it's more like 80-20.
Which way?
Like 20 want to go out and do
I
their own
agree.
thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I feel like it's quite a rare breed.
Hmm.
And I think even like those that want to go, like there's an extent to how far they want to go.
Yeah.
You know?
And the the extrovert introvert thing, like I've never really paid that much. I'm not like, I just kind of, I try and be myself kind of thing. And people have said to me, you're a massive extrovert. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it too much before, but I was like, I suppose on a piece of paper, that's what it would be. But it's like, I like speaking to people. I like getting to know people. And it's like, when people come into the gym, I like, when we do a consult with someone at the gym, it's literally like, run me through what a day in your life looks like. So
Yeah.
I understand what your day looks like, what your schedule looks like. I know a lot about these people, so we can go and, okay, because of this, here's what we're going to provide for you. And that level of detail and understanding, like, again, it's just relationships, like
Yeah.
knowing that much about people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why were you bringing up the extrovert introvert thing? Like, are you thinking of that as a key trait for?
Yeah, because we've had like a few people in the gym. Like, one of our things is when you come in the morning. This is coming from when I used to play rugby in France. So when I moved to France, you had to, if you're the first person in the training ground, as other people came in, you had to go and shake everyone's hand and say like good morning or whatever.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, why do they do this? And I was like, stupid foreigner in a different country. I was like, why do they do this? It's stupid. And after about a month, I was like, they realized the value of that.
Yeah.
So it's basically, if you're the last person in, you have to go. So say we have a team meeting, we're doing like a review of whatever, and you're the last person in, everyone else is sat down, you have to go around and shake everyone's hand and say hello, kind of thing. So we were talking about this in the gym, and someone went, well, what if I'm an introvert and I don't want to say hello to everybody every day? And I was like, you're probably not going to fit in at the clubhouse then.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, these are the values we have on the wall. And it's not, you don't have to be an extrovert, but it's those basic key relationships. There's another book that I give to one of our coaches, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
It's an amazing book.
Yeah, so good.
Is that Marshall wrote? No, that's Nonviolent Communication. It's it's an incredible book.
I
When I
forget.
tell people about that book, it sounds very egotistical because I'm like, oh, I read this book on how to win friends and influence people.
No,
But it's an incredible book.
it's soft skills.
That and Nonviolent Communication. Have you read that?
I've not read that.
Marshall Rosenberg. And they're probably the two greatest books on communication.
Nice. I'll
Get
check that one out.
It's amazing.
But all on just soft skills. And like one of our coaches, I'd give him the book. I'd read it and I was like, go away and read this. He went and presented back to the team on what it was. And it's just like, say hello, smile, make eye contact, show genuine interest in what people do. It's like, it's very simple stuff. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get that wrong in a big way or just don't acknowledge it. So having that whole extrovert introvert thing, and something I've not really thought about, but I suppose it kind of is.
We have conversations about it quite a lot because I think my understanding of what an extrovert and introvert was different to what some of the other people on my team think it is. So I would say, okay, I'm quite an extroverted person, but then I'd have other people in this team who I would see kind of be like me, like you put them in a group, they talk out loud, they're like, they look confident, they're not, shying away in a corner. And they're like, oh no, I'm an introvert. And I'm like, can you I need to level my knowledge up here in terms of what this actually means. So apparently some people say that, and I might be butchering this massively, but extroverts recharge by engaging and interacting with others. Introverts recharge by being away from them. Right. So, but then I look at myself, I'm like, well, I still recharge. I still need time to myself to recharge as well, but I do really enjoy like social connection and being with people. Yeah.
But it's funny because like the social connections, like I'm sure you're the same here. I speak to people on a daily basis. Like it's basically my job, coaching people, telling people what to do. So sometimes when it comes to a weekend, I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody for a bit. I just want to go spend some time with Katie, chill, not interact with people. And then because I get to do it on a daily basis. But I like a lot of people in the gym, office, people who work in office, people work in finance.
They don't get that.
And like they don't get to do this. And I'm like, I get to do this every day and I really enjoy it, kind of thing.
It was the thing with my close mates, a lot of them that I grew up with. Weekends would roll around and they'd all want to go for dinner, have a few beers, and then catch up on the Sunday. And I just, after setting up this business, I ended up not wanting to do that. And obviously they took it as I don't want to hang out with them anymore. Because I get such a massive social feel every day.
Yes.
I'm mates with all my teammates, all my community members, and I'm getting it honestly from when I walk in here in the morning to when I leave at night. It's honestly one of the things that makes me love my job more than anything else is I actually just get to hang out with cool people all day, and it's awesome.
Surrounded by good people.
Yeah, exactly. And then so on the weekends it's like I don't really want that anymore. But then when I put myself in my mate's shoes who sits in a cubicle,
Yes.
doesn't have anyone in his office to speak to, silent for 9 hours.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I
it's
couldn't
like,
do it.
you know, lunchtime is like, you got to get social fill there, then after work. So I totally get it, why they're like that and why they might look at maybe you and I and think maybe we're just antisocial or we don't want to do those things in a weekend.
These
But
twats,
we're also just very lucky that we get to do this,
yeah,
you know, all the time.
no, it's huge, and that like, and I think it's been a bit of a challenge with like, especially some of our friendship groups, and I try and be like, okay, we need to do a little bit more sometimes because we probably have gone away from like some of our exterior friendship groups a little bit, but not through any choice, but more just like, fuck, it's like the first 6 months, especially, we didn't really socialize with many people outside of the gym. And it was kind of probably a bit of a detriment. I look back and think, could I have done that differently? But like at the time I was like, fuck, I just need some time to myself at the weekends because I'm speaking to people all the time, or else I'm going to lose my mind basically.
So, went through a very similar journey. Dave, I want to wrap this up.
Excellent.
With 2 questions.
Okay, cool. Here we go.
The first question is advice for others who are in the position that you were in when you made that decision to go and do your own thing.
Would be understand the numbers, but then go for it. Because if you don't go for it, you will regret it for the rest of your life. And if you go for it and it doesn't work out, who cares? Who really cares? Like, nothing bad's going to happen. No one's died. Like, it's not the end of the world. Just go for it. And if you back yourself, and someone said to me, like, your business only dies when you die. If you keep going, everything keeps going. You have the business. When you give up, then it's gone. But when you've got a little bit of fight left in you and you keep fighting, it's always going to be there. So it would be understand the numbers. And if you're happy and understand the numbers, go for it. You will not regret it.
I love it. You just reminded me of something I think I saw in a Chris Williamson quote recently, which was he said, in 2 generations' time, no one will even remember that you were on this planet. So what's holding you back?
Do you like Chris Williams?
I like his snippets. I like his 1 minute like nuggets of wisdom. I find it hard to sit through a whole podcast with him.
Oh no, I think he's got a lot of stuff, but I just think he ends up like I did the Hormozy Williamson podcast, and I was
recently,
they did one a few whenever it was, and it was just like a paradox off, and it was like all these like ridiculous quotes for like an hour. I was like,
man, I'm pretty so impressed at how many quotes he can remember though.
Oh god,
I know he's got an iPad in front of him, but genuinely I'm like, mate, how does someone remember that many quotes? And like he almost nails it to the word every time.
I can't do it.
Yeah, no, he's fallen out of favor for me. Okay, second question, and this is the question we ask every guest that comes on the show.
Oof, here we go.
Take me through your perfect day.
My perfect day, it would probably be, I'd be somewhere in. Oh, that's a good one. Could I be over there?
Ibiza or where? What are you in between?
It's either Ibiza or Phuket. They're my two loves, 2 extremes. But I'm a man of extremes.
Yeah.
I'd probably say in Phuket, we'd get up. We stay at this little place called Cocoville, which is on the Soy, which is Training Street. Get up, have some breakfast, head on down to one of the gyms. There's a gym over there called Pirate, run by Jibby Fryer. Unbelievable gym, very very good community. Do a session there, come back, go to 5 Elements Hot Yoga, go and see Panchita. She runs the sessions there. She's a non-PC Thai lady who's been running this yoga business for ages, and it's like it's not really yoga, it's like stretching, but she's amazing. Go there, sit by the pool for a bit, chill with Katie, go for some dinner, and then that would be somewhere on that street. There's a restaurant called Ali's Barbecue, which is all meats, proteins, that kind of thing. So just a nice, easy day with Katie doing the things I love doing, really. That would be my ideal day, yeah.
Dave, thank you so much for this. I've been looking forward to this episide for quite some time. I think maybe that day at the Sevens,
it sparked everything.
I had put on my to-do list, get Dave on the podcast.
Yeah, I remember we had I think it was get on the podcast, changed to 4-week billing cycles, and there was one more. Have you changed to 4-week billing cycles
Not
yet?
yet.
Oh,
Not yet.
When are you doing it?
It's in the
It's on the
pipeline
cards.
somewhere.
Nice.
It's in the pipeline somewhere.
We've
There
given a
was-
little
was
bit of a
another
spoiler
one.
now, so people they know it's coming. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
which is that's why I veered around that question quite fast.
Love
It's
it.
4-week billing cycles. Get Dave on the podcast.
And there's one more. Maybe one of the books, I think. It was one of the books.
I think it was Unreasonable Hospitality.
Yeah. I think it was. There were
the
3 points. No, thank
but-
you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and honestly, I'm so impressed with what you guys have got going on here. It's really aspirational, and you've been running this business for 15 years. You're asking me about business, but I think honestly, you've really nailed this. So well done, Matt.
Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate that.
Anytime.
Dave, where can people find out about you in the Clubhouse?
LinkedIn. I'm big on LinkedIn. Try and post a lot of content on there. Give as much value as possible. I do a little bit on Instagram, but it's not really my bag, to be honest. I like the writing side of things. So LinkedIn, at the clubhousehongkong.com, and we're on Instagram and whatnot as well. But obviously we try and do a lot of community sessions as well. So we have a run club. We have guys only sessions, girls only sessions on a Saturday morning, which is open invite. So we have a session every Wednesday called Wednesday Goo, which is open invite, which the guys were doing now today, which is basically anyone could come in, just flog yourself for 45 minutes, good vibes, pump some tunes. So we try and get as many people into the gym as possible, just see it, experience it. But yeah, that's probably why.
Dave, love it. Thank you, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
Before we say goodbye, here's one crazy statistic for you. Did you know that almost 40% of people who listen to the show don't actually subscribe to it? Now, I didn't think that was a big deal until I actually learned about the power of hitting subscribe. For you, the listener, you get to stay up to date when we drop episodes on a weekly basis. But for us as a podcast, it really helps our visibility and helps us attract great brands and great listeners to help grow this podcast. So if you enjoyed this episode or you're a big fan of the show, please do us a massive favor and hit subscribe. Thank you so much.